13th day of July. A preliminary 103 veered off runway 21 after an unstabilized approach. Toxicology tests confirmed alcohol in the pilot system and cannabis in a cabin crew member. The NSIB to issue urgent safety regulations, including stricter fitness checks and enhanced training for handling these approaches. The incident has heightened concerns about airline safety and crew preparedness across Nigeria. As you can tell, this is a matter of grave concern, and the word grave is used deliberately. Grave concern. It is that level. This report, this story, doesn't just talk about a runway incident, but about trust, oversight, and the culture of safety in aviation. And whether or not you like to fly, well, you will definitely want to be safe. To imagine that a pilot might be intoxicated is a difference between not just life and death, but life and devastating death. Yes, indeed. So to give context to the mission, to tell a couple of things we might not know, is an aviation expert and flying Prince. Good day, Prince. Thank you for joining us. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. It's always a pleasure. Now, Air Peace has put out a statement faulting the report, but we'd like to know, let's hear from you, has that report been confirmed?
Okay, thank you very much. Good evening once again. Well, before a response to the public, the NSID has done their investigation. And the investigation is still ongoing, however, to confirm that the information is true. But for aircraft to overshoot the runway, and these investigations were a captain or a pilot and the influence of alcohol would likely take the wrong decision. The judgment which NSI is also alleging that could be the runway, overshooting the runway. So this investigation, the NSI has come up with a full solution of matter, but I would also want to ask that we are ongoing.
It was because they overshot the runway and the incident had already happened. The person on air, how frequently do pilots run tests for alcohol, and how frequent tests? Because they overshot the runway and the incident had already happened. The person on air, how frequently do pilots run tests for alcohol, and how frequent tests?
Okay, when it comes to tests, they will inform individual airlines how do we go about doing this test. But they could walk into the briefing room in the morning, the briefing before they do the first flight, and complete arrangements with their doctors, their hospitals, and they come in and excuse their captain here to do a check, medical check, with alcohol and tobacco and all. And they do the test. We test according to the regulations. Pilots and crew have error test in the period of 6 months. When it comes to test, they dump them. And there's not half time we're going to test, They could test you any day, anytime.
What could be effective in the crew or pilot where does schedule the duration between tests wide? So because it is a sporadic testing, it might also leave room for these kinds of problems.
Thank you very much. And because this issue of safety has been raised as regards this, I believe that the Civil Aviation Authority and the NSIB, they are going to put a more stricter, policy on the companies, the operators. And so we have to have a programming of a very close proximity time of doing this check, random checks on them. But I do know that most airlines does it more frequently, but I think they are going to stipulate it in a way that it's going to be more, perhaps once a week, twice a week, and all that. But it's not going to have this duration of period, which would lead to almost circumstances.
Okay. Now, this test conducted by the airline AA. Who conduct tests?
Okay, the airlines.
Are they the only who do tests?
Yes, the airlines, yes, are the regulators, right?
Okay.
Now, the regulators have requirements, standard and recommended pieces that the airlines comply with in accordance to the standard and recommended practices from the aviation authority. So right now, the airlines have their safety policy, they have their safety when it comes to medicals, when it comes to testing of the pilots and the entire crew. They have those ones down. So this test is done by the company, and the medical doctors are very essential to the company. They give it to the airlines directly, and they don't compromise that. Don't compromise when it comes to medical reports. The doctors present them the way it is, and the airline takes it up the way it is. So I know that the airlines do the medical test.
If you leave the responsibility of self-policing to the airlines, we also remember its business. An airline might refuse test, and my pilot does not pass the test. That will affect, so I can conveniently choose to do that result. Has that not been considered?
That is mental to the actually, because they have strict policies from the taxation authority. Can report these medicals, they have data, they have their records. When you do a medical and then they detect it in accident, like they do investigation. I'm saying, so based on that, they don't go to the test and keep it themselves. They do, when the test is done, reports are being false. Because then it's from the pilot, it's being sent also to the civilization authority. And that's why the Americans have dates and expiration dates and licenses. It's the pilot licenses, the medical history, expiration time, examinations, and all that. And then the Civil Aviation Authority goes there almost every week to check their licenses to ensure that the medical has not expired and the captain is still flying, to ensure that licenses are validated, and a lot of things, are being checked upon. So, and the airlines also know the consequences, of violating such law, and they don't even dare, because the doctors, for example, don't joke with their license. The doctors knew that if they compromise in such way, please also note that the hospitals are not, they are aviation recommended hospitals. So these hospitals don't just deal with the airlines alone.
Okay.
The airline did not, send the pilots or bring doctors from outside. No. These are well-trained doctors from the aviation, and they know what they are doing, and they don't compromise, because their license can be revoked, they can be jailed, they can be sentenced, and, they can be penalized. So they know that implication. So they don't even dare.
Okay, so that explains it.
If the airline wants to buy them over, they would not.
Yeah, that explains it. The records are available to other players in the industry, and there are constant checks from NCAA. Okay.
That's it.
Now, what is the consequence of what Air Peace has been accused of? If beyond the preliminary, the investigation confirms that indeed the pilot and crew were intoxicated, alcohol and drugs, if it is confirmed, what is the consequence? What's the punishment that goes with that offense?
Okay, in that case, the case is with the NSID, and of course with the Civil Aviation Authority, the NCAA, right? And so there are penalties for every offense in NCAA, of course. But first of all, once an incident was to revoke the licenses of the pilot, the crew, that's the first thing they do. They revoke your license, violation is ongoing. So if the penalty of the day states that the pilot should be suspended for 6 months, or should be taken to psychiatric, as the case may be, to evaluate his mental status, whatever the penalty states, they are going to add F. And then there's a penalty for the airline crew, and that. So it's done, I don't know the full weight of the penalty that will be meted out to.
Are there situations where pilots could be terminated, stops from flying, and that's completely?
Definitely. A lot of pilots have been stopped slightly. The appointment has been terminated. Some of the licenses in some cases are not to be, because this is safety. We're talking about it. It's about human life. So Civil Aviation Authority don't compromise to see NSI compromise, because we are paying all of our flights. So no jobs is safety as such. And so pilots don't do their job. If the penalty, this appointment should be dated and gazetted. And most airlines don't joke that they do it outrightly.
Okay. Well, we take a break now. There are more questions for you at the wrap conversations. Please stay with us.
All right. Thank you.